So those pictures telling you the story as we know it so far. And yes, indeed, this is Ghana. 6 days without gunshots. Some residents in the Chereponi districts count their losses as they return to the homes they abandoned following days of attacks and reprisals in rival communities. The head of JoyNews security desk, Gifty Andopia, tells the story of a mother of 5 who shares her devastation, as well as a man who says he cannot find his wife and 7 children since the attack last Sunday.
They just started killing people. We don't even know what happened. Look at it. Everything I own is destroyed. My house, everything. I have nothing now. Everything is gone. Easy. They said the Monday run until the kafa. Why? This is well. As they say, then I'll be away. What can you then I'll obey? As they say. Do I know what to do? I have nothing to do. Now, as I said, my husband has traveled. I told him our house is destroyed. He knows there won't be a place for him to sleep when he returns. But we can't even sleep here. Maybe we'll be beaten by the rain. I just came to examine the extent of damage done so far. But on that day, I saw fire in the nearby village, so I called my children and we ran. I have no other job apart from farming. I have nothing left. On the same day, I wanted to come for this cassava, but I couldn't, and it's also destroyed. Things that they could not bend, like the roof, they cut through them. They brought out my things, including my mattress. They bent them all outside. They bent everything.
A full mattress, any me bed sheet, any a damn near my no more yin in your idea go on machine in you.
Picture
now, may say, dear ma.
We are women. We don't know anything about the conflict. We don't know what happened.
So bad.
You are always uncertain whether or not they will spare your life when they come to attack. I'm not afraid of the soldiers when I see them around, because I've done nothing wrong. I'm rather happy they are here to save our lives if anything happens. I am still afraid, but if the soldiers come around, we will not be afraid anymore. Were they in the house or they ran away? When it happened? Oh.
When it happened, they ran away.
How many children do you have?
I have 7 children.
So all of them, this is their room?
This is their room. This is a sleeping room.
For who?
For my children. They were sleeping here with books. Even the food stuff is on the distance, is with them in the room there. So when they just got here, they burned all the food stuff in the bush, plus their clothing.
So what your children were inside when the fire started?
No, they was not inside.
Okay.
They ran before they started
the fire.
The senior one is 20 years.
20, and then?
The second one too is 16 years.
And then?
And then the next one is 12 years.
20, 16, 12, and then?
And then 10, 7, 5. So the last one is 2 years now. 2
years. Where are your children? Where are your children? Where are they?
They ran away. So I'm now alone in the house here.
So where are they?
So I don't know where to find them.
Where have you checked that you did not find them?
I went to Wapuli site to see where, even I asked people and they said they didn't come that side. So I don't know.
And they have not called you?
And they have not called me. And then I married Chokwesi, a lady.
Your wife is a Chokwesi?
Chokwesi, a lady.
So you still don't know where your wife is? You still don't know where your children are?
Yeah.
Have you reported to the police?
Not yet, because we ran because we can't go to town, and the policeman is just in town there, so we can't go there. So I don't know how to do and report.
So what are you going to do now? What do you plan to do now?
I'm planning that tomorrow I'll still go to that side and cross-check and see. Maybe they are hiding somewhere.
Wouldn't they by now call you on the phone or something? Shouldn't they have called you by now?
Because I don't know, because they ran, whether the phone fell or I don't know what has happened to the phone.
What are you going to do about your house? Everything is destroyed.
Unless God, because I have nothing to do with it. It's a sleeping room. That's my mother's room.
It's your mother's room. Was your mother here? Was your mother in the room?
Yeah, my mother was in the room.
When the fire started?
But when they came, they said my mother said he will not go out. So they removed my mother from the room and then they burned.
They didn't burn it when she was there. So they just asked her to leave.
No,
So
they
moved her out.
Out and then.
Where did they put her? Where did they put her?
It stains.
No, when they removed her, where did they put her?
They
removed her from the room.
Yeah, only to remove from the room.
They put her where? Here?
Outside.
Outside. And they burned the house.
They burned the house.
But they did not attack your mother. Okay, how old is your mother?
My mother is old, about 70 something.
70 years. And is the mother?
And most of us are beginning to appreciate the impacts of the conflict in Chereponi for the very first time. Well, I've got the MP for the area joining me in the studio, who is coincidentally related to the people who have told their stories in this report by head of our security desk, Gifty Ando Apia. The Member of Parliament for Chereponi constituency, Samuel Abdullahi Jabarite, is my guest this morning. Gifty will join us a little later as well. Good morning to you. Is it a very good morning? I mean, you're seeing your family members, and I didn't know that you are actually connected to them. Yeah. The earlier woman we saw, tell us the relationship.
Yeah, she's Gloria Jabajite. I come directly after her, one father, one mother. And she's married in a community called Adali. The second young man you saw is called Mabu. And the community in which she was interviewed is just a kilometer from the Adali. And that is my village. That is where I come from. And that community was also affected. In fact, it's sheer coincidence that I'm watching my own people before making a comment.
You know about the stories because they probably called you to tell you. But have you seen, in terms of your sister Gloria, have you seen her home?
Yeah, this is the first time I'm watching it. I've always been in Chereponi since the conflict erupted. But the last but one conflict that happened on the 16th of March, 2019, I couldn't go. In fact, I was here in Accra with the DCE and then the regent of the place because Chereponi has been carved out and is now part of the Northeast region. So the new regional minister, who is also a colleague member of parliament, was appointed, and we're here to, give him that moral support to go through the interview. So the following morning, we're to leave, and midnight, we had the news that a community called Nawiako, somebody had been shot there. In fact, looking at the efforts we had put in place, and I just returned from Chereponi, I think 4 days later, then there was that incident. And I had lived in Chereponi for almost 2 weeks, going around every community. So, in fact, it put me off, and I went blackout. So,
apologies that we're having to let you tell the story. That's the Member of Parliament for Chereponi for the first time, sharing the story of Chereponi to all of us. And I am sorry that you're having to relive this. Apologies. Really, really sorry. But we want to appreciate the genesis of this. Some have said this goes back to 1994. Others say started even earlier than that.
Yeah. In fact, from history, we've really never had any conflicts between Chekosis and Kunkumbes. But what has prevailed has to do with the usual issues of parcels of land during the farming season. That is from the month of May and June. And there is this community called Naduni. This is a community that co-inhabits both the Chekosis and Kunkumbes, who have lived for centuries.
So you actually have places where the two are together?
In fact, apart from Naduni and this whole bad news about the conflict, there are good stories actually to tell. There is a community called Kudani and Kudani Bakano. This is where even it is Chekosi dominated, but they live together with Kunkumbes. The Kunkumbes are just a kilometer away. We've never had any incidents of conflict. There is another community called Cherry and Kaplani. In fact, there's this prominent chief called Baye Yao. And just behind his house, the rest of the communities there are Kunkumbes, but they've never gone to war. In the Naduni case, they are intermarried, they have lived together, and just nobody knows. But the issue goes and it dies off, it comes off, it resurrects. And from
so this is from which year?
Yeah, way back in 1962.
Okay.
But what came out in recent times and was resolved was around 2002, during the reign of one chief called Chief Abubakari Malba. In his reign, this issue came up, and he put an embargo on the land. So for a very long time, people didn't farm on the land again.
And how big is this piece of land?
Oh, just by a school building, it's just about 2 or maybe maximum 2 hectares or acres. No, 2 acres. It's not such a big land. So these two tribe mates who have co-lived and who are related. In fact, what baffles most people is that if you go to Naduni, the Kunkuma area, just a few of the Kunkumes are able to speak the Kunkuma language. They were born and they have lived with the Chekosis and they speak Chekosi. So this issue came up. I was in Accra here, my attention was drawn to it. Quickly, I moved down.
This is the 2000 incident?
In June 2018.
Okay.
When it surfaced. I called the DCE, he explained to me, yes, that he knew of it. The DISEC had taken some measures, and they had even placed an embargo. Then the paramount chief at the time had also taken some measures. But it happened that somebody went to plow on the field, and that brought about the whole issue. So
on this land,
on this disputed
an embargo
on it, yes,
either
yes,
side,
on that same piece of land. So in that conflict, one section of the community was completely touched. About 2 people died, but quickly we were on the ground. Fortunately for us, around that period, there was an issue in Yendi. So, you know, there is a military detachment in Yendi. So quickly we called on the military detachment and they came. But their numbers were not enough. We had to call again for reinforcement and it came. Then together, the two communities, there was a committee that was put in place with DISEC and with some support also from government. So we managed it, and there was something that we were all getting at, that is performing the bloodbath among the two tribes so that they'll seal that and it becomes a covenant between the two of them. Then that conflict never resurrects again. But unfortunately, we never got to that stage when in January 2019, the whole thing started again.
Okay, so let's go back. This is June
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, because this committee was still working.
Yes.
But they couldn't, if you like it, seal it off.
Yeah, they had put, a lot of measures had been put in place. And I think the last step was to get these two community members to come together to perform the bloodbath.
Okay. What was the challenge? What was the difficulty? Why couldn't that happen?
It all had to do, you know, this, in a conflict situation like that, the major problem has always to do with trust. And then suspicion abounds in this situation. So the chiefs kept going and coming. Even some of the members who were put on the committee, at a point they are being called and they are not turning up, and a whole lot of issues. So it was not that smooth to have gotten us the expected results that we all wanted. So it delayed a bit until January, but in January there was this issue again, and then we came in again with the military. What
happened with the January issue? What started? Is it the same land issue?
Yeah, in January it was the same, in that same community again. And there was an attack. The first one was on the other side. In January, the attack was on the community B, in the same community. Then,
so that's why we say reprisals.
Yeah, so that was a reprisal attack. And after that, it degenerated or escalated into the other communities. So the first one was only in the Naduni community. The second one spread out to places like Kumpeni and its catchment area. Then the third one went further, and then the last but one further, and this one nearly engulfed the entire district.
You're a member of parliament for this this constituency that has taken the center stage, indeed, in Ghana for a while now. How does this make you feel as a member of parliament? I mean, we're hearing gunshot. We're seeing human beings who have been killed. We're looking at somebody just enters into a house and decides to burn it. And in this same community, people are married into the other. You know, so how does it make you feel as a member of parliament for this place?
I feel really bad because my good people know me. Those who are watching me and Chereponi people will attest to you. I relate very well with the people. I'm nice with the people in the community. And I still cannot fathom why this issue cannot be resolved, because it is something that both tribes are not really interested in. If you look at the Chekosis, my interactions with them, you look at the Kumkumes, my interactions with them, about 98% of the people are not really interested because they are so interrelated. And in terms of comments, they are so linked up. And just on Friday, I was in Chereponi. A woman, in spite of the crowd and everything, still got closer to me. And all that she could tell me was that can I imagine that now a pound of charcoal is costing as much as 50 Ghana cedis. Something they could buy, they used to buy around 5 cedis, 6 cedis, 8 cedis. So they can't move anywhere. The Kumkumes cannot come in, the Chekosis cannot also go out. So it is a worry to everybody. And we are all concerned, and we wish that we are able to bring this matter to an end.
How are they surviving? I mean, what's the everyday life? Your sister, for instance, I mean, that's her house.
Yeah.
She can't obviously live there.
Yeah. Yeah, they've relocated. Now, most of the Kumkuma communities are living in the bigger towns like Staboba, Gerinkuka. I met her on Monday, just this Monday. I was in the team together with the defense minister. So we're in Gerinkuka. And after the meeting, she walked to me, and then she told me she was now in Gerinkuka with the family. And I spoke with her, and then I left.
How do you adjust? You know, she had a life.
Yes, this is a conflict situation. Most people are not comfortable. So she's not an exception. She has to also bear the brunt of what all the people are suffering. Yeah.
I want us to talk about your visit.
Yeah.
The defense minister put a team together, and you visited Chereponi.
Yeah.
But before I come to you,
Gifty's here.
Gifty's here. Gifty is the head of our security desk.
Yeah.
And I tell you, Gifty helped us appreciate this story.
Yeah.
I mean, you told it in such a way that we could all see it. I mean, we can feel it. We've seen the photos this morning. Yeah. Describe the team that was put together to us.
Well, he himself is one of the team. He was with the minister when the minister came. So this team that went on the ground, there is a minister. There is the former Northern Regional Minister, Moses Mabengba. There is Bugri Nabu, who is the Northern Regional chairperson for the NPP. There were leadership of the Chokosis and the Kokumbes who live in Accra and Kumasi. All of these people were put together, so you could call it a bipartisan team. And then there was this leadership, you know, traditional leadership as well. And then the minister and some other people in government. So this was the team that came with the minister.
Okay.
And they tried to engage the people as much as possible on both sides.
Mr. Jamanite, it's been 6 days. We haven't heard of gunshots.
Okay.
Is it as a result? Well, obviously you can link it because of before that, there were the conflict was still ongoing. People were killing each other.
Okay.
What does this mean? The visit in particular, with the different people put together. What did that represent?
Yeah, it provided a nationalistic approach and a bipartisan view that represented, in fact, well-revered people like the Anufo chief in Accra, the Anufo chief in Kumasi, the Anufo chief in Ashaman. And you look at former high-powered government appointees of the previous administration, like the former Deputy Chief of Staff, Honorable Ken Ojenji, and you see almost all the current ministers of state in the current government appointee, in the current government. Like you have the defense minister, you have the Deputy Northern Regional Minister, you have the MPs, you have one Abraham Jawol, who is the MD for Ghana Supply Company. And in fact,
the minister himself
was the
Northern Regional Minister, and then
the Northeast Regional Minister. Yeah. So, and then even past MPs who are concumbers. So it sent a strong signal to both factions that their sons who have been at such higher positions are making passionate appeal to them to lay down their arms. It was first in Chereponi. The regent spoke very eloquently and nicely, followed by the Chief Buba, the chief of Wenchiki, who also spoke very well. And indeed, he promised us that the Chekosis henceforth were going to put down their arms and they will never disappoint us. And if we will be disappointed at all, then it should be our brothers, the Konkumbes. So that became a challenge. Okay. So when we had the opportunity to be in Niger, which is a Konkumba community, the former MPP Northern Regional Chairman, our father Bugri Nabu, I mean, was on his knees virtually to plead with his people And you see, we need to also have a little bit understanding about the Kunkumbas. The Kunkumbas, we have 4 major, let me say, clans or subdivisions in the Chereponi district.
Okay.
We have the Nafiba, we have the Kumba group, we have the Lapoti, and then we also have the Bechabo.
Okay, they've got different leadership?
Different. So the team that went was made up of all these 4 sheets.
Okay.
So directly we appealed to them. So you realize that at Naja, Chairman Bugri spoke, and these were his people. You see, followed by a Chekosi chief, the Accra Chekosi chief, spoke. And he grew up from that area. His village, incidentally, is very close to the Niger area because he comes from Naweku. And so they also assured us. And we realized that there was the need to go to the other stronger areas like Gerenkuka and Saboba. So Monday, we were there. For the past 5-6 days now, just before I got into the studio, I called Lieutenant Eje, who is in charge of the military in Chereponi. And he told me this morning the place is calm. He's not heard of any single, he has not had even a single phone call.
That's Lieutenant Eje.
Yeah, that's Lieutenant Eje there.
I just wanted to point him out. I mean, so, Mama, they were just great.
So
these are really great guys.
I can be rest assured that the place is calm. So I said, I'm entering the studio to speak with the JoyNews people, and I don't want to say something, and when I come out, the next story is that a community is under attack. Then he gave me the assurance that no, nothing untoward is going to happen.
Gifty paints the picture for us in terms of the security arrangement, because earlier you spoke to some people who said they couldn't feel the presence of security. Yeah.
So that has been a big issue for the people, especially those who live in the village. And I've said this over and over again that usually when you are in Chereponi town, that is the district capital. So the police station is there, and the police, the security personnel that are working on this conflict issue, they are in Chereponi. What they do is that they go on patrols in the other villages. So when you speak to the villagers, they'll say, we want more of their presence here. But they can't be everywhere. There are how many villages around Chereponi?
Chereponi, about 183.
Oh, that's a lot.
No, that's a lot.
So you can't really have, also there's also the issue of logistics for these security personnel. I mean, I'm talking about these persons, these security personnel, these soldiers and some police officers who were, with us through and through. They were great. They were just great, but they can't be everywhere at the same time. So I think that the people feel, those in the villages, and that's where the attacks, happen. The attacks won't happen in Chereponi because Chereponi is the district capital. You have the police, and they will respond quickly. It happens most of the time in these villages. So, but I've heard, Mamavi, that when we went to Garikuka, for example, there was an opinion leader, we understand, who was very angry, and he was angrily speaking about the lack of the police presence there. But following that, not just the police, the military as well, following that, I've heard that there is an army vehicle. There's an army vehicle that we saw there. I've been told that army vehicle has been there since it happened. So they weren't quite sure what he meant by saying that they weren't security presence there. But of course, I don't live there. He lives there. And he's telling his story. In his story, he says that we don't have police personnel there, and that's why we mounted a roadblock, because Garikuka is one of the places that there was a roadblock. By the time we went there, it had been dismantled. But these are some of the things. They said that they were using it to protect themselves. But the soldiers also
so this is the people themselves?
Yes, mounting the roadblock. That's what they said. That's what they said. But you know, when you do that, you're also like taking the law into your own hands. You're blocking. What you're doing is that you're cutting off the community from other communities. You're cutting I think they were essentially trying to prevent maybe whatever. If they think Chokosis are coming to attack them, they're trying to prevent them from coming in. If they think the soldiers are coming in, they're not, happy with the soldiers. They're trying to block them out. But I think that personally, that we should be fair to the soldiers. I think they're doing their best on the ground at this point. Perhaps it's about the spread, having them in all parts of in other parts of the villages. Which, of course, that should go to government. Government should be able to move, give them reinforcement, give them the logistics that can put them in the places where they need to be. But I think that on the ground, I think the security personnel, they're really doing their best.
So, Mr. Jabasi, let me merge that word going forward, because what has happened is temporary ceasefire.
Yeah.
But what's the plan? Is this committee that was working last year into this year, does that committee still exist?
Yes. I think we have a two-pronged approach to this issue in our bid to resolve it. First is the military solution. The military solution, we have all alluded that it is not an end in itself. It's a temporal or stop-gap measure that will cease fire. Then the real negotiation, mediation will come in. On the military side, like Gifty rightly said, the numbers are not very much, and in terms of logistics too. So because of that, the military and the police are not able to deploy to all the entry points and the ends of the communities.
Because there are many.
But there are some few ones we have noted, and I think, I don't know whether you were with us in Tamale during the debriefing. I mentioned some communities, for instance, at Sogong. There is a route just opposite the hospital in Chereponi. That road goes through Jakba, Balu, Sogong, and so many Konkoma communities. We believe that if there is a deployment unit that visits there regularly, even if they cannot sleep in that community, it will give some sort of assurance. And you see, like I said, it's all about trust and fear and the rumor. So once the security are such places, like the Sogong I've mentioned, Nambiri is also just a town that is surrounded by Konkombes, with the Chikosis only in the middle.
Okay.
So certainly, when you don't have a military post there, and you are talking about reintegration and resolving this issue.
That mosque,
sure. So the mosque we are watching,
so
that is Nambiri.
A mosque that they set on fire?
Yes. So a place like Nambiri would definitely need a military setup where the military can be.
But let me ask you a question. Where are the people? Because people have fled these places.
Yes. We leave the river Oti. I think Gifty will tell you, she went that very close.
Gifty went touring.
Yeah, she went to a community called Konali.
Konali, yes.
I saw your video with the tractor, people plowing.
So we're putting that story together. That's about two Kokuma person and a Chikosi person who are friends.
Now you're giving her pressure to release that story.
Yeah, so I want to have a full story.
Yes, that story will come. Except that, we got here very late and we've been putting, and we need to, put the story out gradually, make people appreciate what's happening.
Absolutely.
So that story is about a Chikosi person and a Kokumba person who are friends, and they are working for each other. Like, the Chikosi man is working for
the
plowing the land of the Kokumba person.
Okay,
and I spoke to them about, they said they've been friends for about, 10 years, and they don't see why conflict should separate them. So that's a positive story that we'll be telling shortly.
Okay.
But,
so we are very close to Togo. So most of the last conflict like that, it started towards that eastern side, the Saboba, Tumbu area there, to Naduni again, to Kumpeni, and all those communities. So all these people easily crossed to the Togolese side. And then my area, most of them moved towards Gerinkuka, Wapuli, and Saboba. Then towards the Gushegu side, Naja area, they all moved to Naboli, to Bintiri, and then towards the Tigenga side, around Winchiki, they also moved towards Gungwandi and Bunkrugu. Okay. So these are the areas they are currently staying.
There's another issue, because most of these people are farmers.
Yeah.
And they can't obviously visit their farms. So how are they maintaining, how are they living, even though they fled into other towns?
Yeah, so like I did indicate that we have the military solution, and another approach I would call the civil mediation approach. In our debriefings with all the hired, powered government delegations and the chiefs and people that came with us to these communities, I think the proposal some of us made is that to ensure trust amongst the people, we should establish a complaints and a conflict resolution committee that will be made up of very objective-minded persons, fair people of the two major ethnic groups in both districts, and then with some religious leaders and some NGOs in these two regions to make up the committee who would work directly with the military. Fortunately for us, we had a discussion with the Major General, William Ayandom, who is the Chief of Army Staff, and he assured us that the military has a wing that is specialized in conflict resolution and mediation, and they can extend to us that service. So the proposal is that the Northern Regional Peace Council, together with that detachment and then the committee that is going to be put in place, will work together to ensure that when a Konkuma man comes to make a complaint, there are going to be Konkumas on the committee. So even when he's told the right thing, like what you have said, probably we don't find the truth in it, or we think it should be done that way, he can't go back to his village to say he has been denied justice because probably they've not listened. Because when a follow-up is made, his own people who are members of the committee can explain to the to the rest of the members, vice versa, the Chekosi side and all that. That's one way. We also think that we are talking, when we're in Winchiki, when we're in Chereponi, the chiefs and people raise some concerns to us, which they think we should try to resolve. In the Konkoma areas, they also made, these are things I don't want to put out here, but we have taken notice of them. And most of the places, I don't know if you were with us in Garunkuka. Yeah, we went before the meeting. You saw that we went to meet the elders of the community. So
is there like a short-term
measure and a long-term measure?
You kept mentioning military. The Interior Minister, is he involved in this? National security, because we haven't seen those two as part of the conversations. We've seen the military. Yeah,
in fact, it falls directly at their doorpost. But you see, that the case of the defense minister is that I grew up with him. I went to the same secondary school.
He's a son of the land. No. So he didn't go there as an MP or a defense minister.
No, he's just a Konkomba. But we work together. I went to the same secondary school. I've slept in the same dormitory with him for 5 years. We've been working, we've been living together. So if issues are happening, it is easier to talk to him on a more informal level.
Because of the relationship that you've developed over the years.
Yes, and he also has a constituency where he has Chekosis living there with Konkumbes, and they are not fighting. And we think also that he's one that has a privileged position. So if his people are in trouble, I mean, when I say his people, Northerners, his tribe mates are having issues, in terms of access to the power that be in attending to the people on a good time, he could be the mouthpiece.
So I get you. Yes. And I see the angle, the diplomatic angle that you're coming, and I absolutely appreciate that because you're a politician. So I love what you've just done. So this is not to you. My question is to the Interior the Minister and National Security, who have not visited this community that we're talking about. And we're asking for answers. We're looking for a way forward, because what has been done is just a temporary measure that we put in place. We want a lasting solution to what has
and Mama, if I can just add this, the defense minister kept emphasizing every now and then, this is not my job. This is not my job. There's three of us. There's the Interior Minister and then the National Security Minister. The minister was there last Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's been 6 days. We've still not heard from the Interior Ministry. Neither have we heard from the National Security Ministry.
And that's a worry.
It is. That's
a worry.
It is a problem.
Yeah. The the BECE candidate, just the final one. What's your solution as MP?
Yes. In Garunkuka, she was there. The community members raised that concern. And indeed, we are all concerned. But we got assurance from the DCE, who was present, the military, and all of us to give a commitment. In fact, not only in Garunkuka and Chereponi Township, but we also have Nanzoni, we have Winchiki, and we also have Wanjuga. These are centers that normally they all congregate in Chereponi to write. I will sit here to say that I will support these students who are coming in the years in terms of their feeding and making them comfortable to live.
You heard their teachers are not with them.
Yes, so that is everybody. They have to run for their lives, and you cannot actually prevent them from leaving. Although the military did their best, they went hiring vehicles to go. They will stop them a number of times, and they started sneaking one by one, and eventually they left the community. There's nothing you can do about that. But we want to, you see, having a peace of mind is a prerequisite to learning. So we want to give that assurance that, look, we are going to provide that security that will give them that peace of mind. Usually we keep them at a secondary school. So we're going to make sure that they have security. We will provide food and whatever it is necessary to let their stay be comfortable. And I will do that. I will ask the district assembly. I will write to the assembly to raise some money from my statutory funding to support that.
We appreciate that. You know, Gifty will be watching you.
Sure.
Mr. Jabanita, I just wanted to find out what the security arrangement is, because the minister said that they were going to give the student the security. This is what he said. But when he speaks to the people, the BEC candidates in Garikuka that I spoke to said that they are afraid to go to Chereponi.
Oh, last year, you know, same period last year, we had the same challenge. So
I just want to figure out the plan. Is it that they are going to gather them and take them with military or
yes, we'll get a bus. Yes, we'll get a bus, put them there. Then they give them escort to Chereponi. They allocate the dormitories at the senior high school to them. And then they are there. They are giving all the ingredients because they go with their utensils and all that. They do the cooking. The soldiers and the police are going to be at the secondary school till they write. And they are going to be with their colleagues. Let me also use this opportunity to urge the general public. This conflict is a very emotional one. So people should be very mindful of the sensitivities of people.
Absolutely.
And so making comments on social media, I'm pleading with everybody to be very mindful, and also the media houses, because of suspicion. It is always good that any media house that is granting interview, they should always think about both sides, having representatives from both sides to speak to the issues, so that it does not become one-sided or lopsided. Then people will have the opportunity to have a full understanding of what is happening.
Thank you very much.
That notwithstanding, we want to thank all Ghanaians, especially the media, who have not hyped it in a negative sense, but brought this out now for Ghanaians to begin to appreciate what is really happening in Chereponi.
All right.
Thank you very
we have
much.
to go, but there's another angle to this that we will do because Gifty, you did a fantastic piece on Dagon. And we want to use that to show the people what
By the
they
way,
can
this is
begin
part
to
of
enjoy.
Dagon.
This is part
of Dagon.
See,
I didn't know myself. I mean, Dagon is so big. It's so big. This is part of Dagon. But this is what happened with Yendi. You know, the Yendi crisis. This is a positive story from the Yendi crisis. They have moved on. They've resolved their Abudus and Andanis. They've moved on, and that is a positive story. We're hoping.
We can share. So that's what I want to do with you on the AM show. So we can share a lot more, so that people can see what they can begin to enjoy if they allow peace to prevail in their community. So we will tell that story. But you know, it's easy for people to criticize when they don't understand, and that's why I think it's fantastic that Gifty went to Chereponi, to these communities, and to tell the story so we can all appreciate it from that point of view. But we're still calling on the Interior Minister. This is an internal issue, and we need to hear from the Interior Minister, who, by the way, has not been to this community at all since this developed, at least the very last one. The Interior Minister and National Security. We are asking for answers, and we need those answers. Stay with us. You're watching the AM show. We've got a security conversation coincidentally coming up. We're talking kidnapping. Kojang Singh is with the police. Up next on the AM show.